nation building, reflecting on Jahman and Anikulapo. Talent for nation building, reflections on Jahman and Anikulapo. We want to engage with the journey of an icon, a cultural icon, a culture activist, a dancer. I laugh with the fact that he's a retired dancer. You know, a seasoned journalist, respected home and abroad. Please, let's experience Jahman. Let's go. Okay, please, ladies and gentlemen, let's settle down, please. This session has begun and is 15 minutes overdue already. Who is Jahman Anikulapo? Trained as an actor, theater director, and literary critic. Jahman, aside decades of engagement with professional theater and film performances, productions, and programming, has been an art and culture journalist, communicator, curator for over 3 decades, writing on and working mostly in the areas of performing arts, film, visual arts, literature, festivals, and other areas of the creative industry. He is the executive program director of the Culture Advocates Caucus, CAC, which specializes in culture and arts programming and curating, including designing and directing festivals in the areas of literature, film, theater, visual arts, and music. He has offered curatorial services for the Federal Republic of Germany through the Goethe Institute, France through the French Embassy, and the Alliance Française in Lagos, the Italian Consulate in Lagos, the Public Affairs section of the US Embassy, Lagos and Abuja, as well as the Federal Ministry of Culture and Tourism through its various agencies. He's also a consultant on media training with clients among top Nigerian media and allied institutions. He is program chair of the 3-decades-old Prime Culture Advocacy Organization, the Committee for Relevant Art, CORA, promoters of the famous annual Culture Picnic, Lagos Book and Art Festival, LABAF, which he has directed for over 2 decades now. He is one of the 3 founders of the High Represent International Documentary Film Festival, HIREP. He is on the artistic board of the Market for African Performing Arts, MASA, in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. He is a past country chair and West African representative of Arturia Network, the Pan-African network of artists, culture, actors, and producers, creative entrepreneurs, and artist organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about Jahman and Anikulapo. Please. This is important for us because as conscious artists from different parts of the country, we are gathered here to engage with best practices. How can we use our talents to benefit the society, humanity, and for nation building? So I have worked with Jahman for approximately 10 years as national coordinator of the Pan-African Network of Artists in Nigeria. He was the chair of the board and later the chair for West Africa at continental level. And we have done a lot. So I'll be making these reflections through the lens of the various capacities with which we have worked. And the achievements are the key here. The advocacy for implementation of national cultural policy in Nigeria, which would have made life easy for artists. Jahman has been one of the frontliners of the core and advocacy. And of course, indeed, in 1985 or 86, we did get a national cultural policy that has never been implemented up to date. That has now become so stale that we still need a national cultural policy. If we have a national cultural policy, famous artists who have worked very hard should not be on TV begging for money. That is what Jahman has been fighting for since 1980s, since in the 80s. And here, we hosted the entire Africa in Lagos, Artwatch Africa, from Ghana, Senegal, South Africa, DRC. Here, we had the representative, who is his friend, by the way, but was standing in for the Minister of Culture. So at that time, he was the Director of Culture at the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, defending government. But of course, Jahman is a man that does not know you are his friend when it comes to issues that benefit the society. Please, let's move. Advocacy for creative industries. We achieved a lot in terms of setting the pace in Nigeria, fighting for economic rights of Nigerian artists. They recognize us everywhere. Nollywood became the second largest in the world in terms of volume. What about in terms of prosperity? So Jahman, under the chairmanship of Jahman, please let's move on. We got the attention of the financial institutions. We brought together Heritage Bank, Access Bank, to create a product for artists so that artists can have access to finance. They can run their businesses. And of course, there are challenges to that, capacity building. Can artists, how do artists, do they have accounts? Do they have businesses registered? All that we did under Arterial Network Cultural Management, under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo. Moving on. Yes, Access Bank created a product for the creative industry as a result of our efforts under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo. Please, let's give a round of applause for Jahman. Heritage Bank did the same. Moving on. Jahman and myself, of course, with the inspiration and the free will, the freedom. I had artistic freedom under Jahman as national coordinator. Jahman, unlike chairs in other countries like Mali, like who were the abachas in their domains, I had freedom under Jahman, the leadership, the inspirational leadership. And we were able to secure a partnership with the law firm of the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Odeyin Ajimokobia. As you can see, that was a contract we signed to protect Nigerian artists, producers, to have access to funding, to prevail over the obstacles of legal restrictions by banks and all that. That was achieved under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo. Moving on. Advocacy for copyright reforms. Today, we have a new Copyright Act. I'm not sure of whether the president has signed it, but I know that the National Assembly has passed it. That effort started with us. From 2012, when the industries associations were all coming together with Copyright Society of Nigeria, COSON, and all that, so many things were scattered. But we picked it up again. Under the leadership of Jahman and Anikulapo, brought the DG of the Nigerian Copyright Commission, pressured the Federal Executive Council, and the bill that we all had input was approved. Today, the bill has been passed by the National Assembly. It was frustrated at some point, but it's been passed for. So that credit should go to all of us under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo. Yeah, moving on. Advocacy for artistic freedom. Under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo, at least we had issues with several artists being arrested, some being detained. In fact, we have one of the victims here who is now a part of the Unchained Vibes Africa team. Prince Adeola Goloba, please stand up for recognition. He's a poet. In 2016, he was arrested alongside the award-winning performance artists, internationally renowned Jelili Atiku. There were 5 that were arrested for staging a performance that ridiculed the native authorities in the Igbo local environment in our people that were known for oppressing the poor, grabbing their lands and all that. That was what the performance was all about. But they were arrested, detained for days. And it took us 7 months legal battle, which was sponsored by Material Network, our efforts, under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo. And the case was dismissed at the end of the day after 7 months of fight, and they regained their freedom. Artistic freedom, advocacy. Moving on. Move on. There's a mix-up. Okay. Since we established, there's a tech challenge there, so I'll be rounding up to invite our mentor to come engage and interact with this very brilliant group of artists from different parts of Nigeria. So in 2020, we established On-Chain Vibes Africa. And in 2021, we launched our operations fully. And of course, Jahman has been a pillar of support for everything that we do. We have supported artists detained as far as Kano and different parts of Nigeria. We have sponsored an artist that was sentenced to death in Kano, Yaya Sharif Aminu. We have sponsored a legal defense. He was sentenced to death by a Sharia court. We sponsored the appeal and every other thing. And of course, the case is now at the Supreme Court level under the chairmanship of Jahman and Anikulapo. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jahman and Anikulapo, please, you are invited here. The topic.
Because this is an ambush. But when he was showing the thing, I made some notes. I'd like to pay tribute to some people who are in the room, because that will be my first point. Let me start with our Mankpa. If you don't mind, just for recognition. Just for recognition. You see, I'm still trying to understand the meaning of the title. Global Professor of Arts and Humanities. And the Dean of Arts and Humanities at the New York University, Abu Dhabi. Yeah, I want this to be interactive. Well, why I'm saying that is because my first point, which I saw from there, you have to lean on the shoulders of others. These are people, so whatever has been said about me, I'm doing it because I met them doing that. Anybody who is in theater here, you know what we call the Nigerian University Theater Arts Festival. They started it in 1991. And I was recruited to UI as a footballer. 1981, yes. I joined UI as a footballer. I was recruited for Principal Cup. I was playing soccer in school, and I strayed, of course, you know, we were mercenaries. We were supposed to go and play for UI. Mercenaries were paid. Kwaidi Akoni, Ramon Alarape, all of them. We were all footballers in Lagos. Mutiu Adepoju, I'm sure you know that one. So, but then theater was where you could see all the fine things. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Okay. Well, your imagination, you are hosted to your imagination. I've said my own. So they started NUTAF, which was to mobilize, just to tell you that you are not young, because they were in their 15, 16, 17, when they decided that all Nigerian university students should form an organization to project theater across the nation. Because we're all being taught in silos, UI of Ife, UI of Ilorin, UI of Jos. And they are angry as I'm saying this, so, because they want to, you know, there's only one university, University of Ibadan. Others are campuses. They can contest. But they started that just to unify Nigeria. They were in their 17s and 15s. Because I quarrel with the point made by the NSAS when they said their parents were never, you people you didn't fight for this country. You don't know what is going on. No, the world did not start the day you were born. You can't say that this is your world. Your parents, go and check them. They were activists in their 15, 16, 17. You are even too old to be doing NSAS in your 20s. Okay? Who was the head of state when we had the Civil War? General Gowon. How old was he? 32. He was not married. He ran this country of how many millions of people? So I want creative to believe that you must lean on the shoulders of others. So the first thing I want you to do, if you don't have a mentor today, if you don't have somebody to chaperone your career, to help you to understand what you are getting into, it's that mentor. Our educational system has created a problem for us by putting us, what I'm doing now is the very thing that I'd like to challenge. If you see apprentice, mechanic apprentice, tailor, and co, where do they go? They work, they don't talk down, What I'm doing, I'm talking down at you, but the format of this place, that's why I'm doing this. It is apprenticeship that is going to help us. And what is apprenticeship? Mentorship. You must have a mentor. That's the first thing I don't know. I know you all come from different parts of the country. You must have there must be somebody who is like gold to you. I have many of them. Awamankwa, Nobet Young, Jide. Then I have the big one. I have Bentomoloju. I have Wale Shrinka. I was in his house to go and drink palm wine a few days ago. We all must have mentors. Okay? That's the first point I would like to know. Second is that you must speak truth to power. You know the topic I'm supposed to speak about. If you cannot speak truth to power, you have no. I have no apology that I'm an activist, art activist. I have no apology. I have no apology. If you don't like my activism, please. I don't want to say go and jump to because today is supposed to be my birthday. I have no apology for advocating, for getting frustrated when the system does not work for me. So I have no apology to speak truth. Is that Pastor Adeduro? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll tell you why I'm saying thank you. Okay. He knows me, so I will not lie now. So I wanted to lie, but that man is because he knows me. I will not lie. I tell you. So, apart from mentorship, you should be able to speak truth to power. You know the point Mr. Ganio was making. The man who was standing was the federal director. I think he was acting there, and he was sent to represent the minister. We've been friends. He's older than me, of course, but we've been friends for. In fact, the career I built in reporting culture was through people like that, Jide Ajibola, Sheyiwo Miloju, because they were my friends. We lost one of us in December. In fact, that was the one that was stealing file. If I want any exclusive today, I'll go there. He will smuggle the file in his jacket, and I'll go and pour out the story. It's corruption, actually, but that was what gave me name as a journalist. People thought I was manufacturing, but I was stealing file. I'll go to the office, they'll go and smoke outside. Before they come back, file don't go. Then they'll get query. So you must have that kind of connection. And then when you have them as friends, you must be able to speak truth to them. Now the director of culture, I didn't have to embarrass him out there. But I know that he was standing there, he was representing power. And I'm sure Ayo, because Ayo is in my mood, he must have got that video to the attention of Lai Mohammed. That's what we as creative we have to do. Because we're talking about using your talent for nation building. A nation that abuses truth will never make progress. The reason we are where, let me sound like the VP. The reason we are where we are, I didn't mimic my professor, is because we refuse to speak truth to power. And what is the relevance of art? If art cannot speak truth to power, artists are philosophers. You are supposed to help the nation. You are supposed to help shape the artists come with vision, and that vision can help. Even this painting that you are seeing here, you are supposed to help to shape the nation, to dispense ideas. I know it's the age of blow. All of you want to release an album and blow. I don't want to blow. Just let me be. But my contribution should be to help the society to understand itself. That's why artists are visionaries. Why do you think God made you an artist? Gave you vision. You can be visited by muse. Whether your muse came at witch or mami water, it is muse. To instruct you to write your poem in a particular direction or to write, to sing your song in a particular direction. It is the muse. And you did not bribe God to give you the gift of seeing the muse. How many of us can see muse? I know some of you see apparitions. Well, we're talking of muse that visit you so that you can use your creative resources for the betterment of humanity. So if you have that, why will you not be able to do things that will be relevant to society? I'm saying that because in 1991, when we got frustrated that because of Abacha, all the problem, military regime, many of us got frustrated. And we started writing, about, I know there are poets there. You can write your poems about flower and fauna. I will write my poem to attack. That's what I want to do. It's my choice. So in those days, many of our writers, and I can mention somebody's name, she's gone, May Ellen Ezekiel. It was her book that provoked us. She wrote a book called, I've forgotten the title now, but artists were trying not to write about politics. So they will not come and knock on your door because we're all running all over the place. They were arresting us and go. So we got angry and said, look, we must talk about Committee for Relevant Art. Your art must be relevant to society. That's why we form Committee for Relevant Art. So if your art is not relevant to the environment in which you are existing, you will blow. But you blow away like the wind on that thing. Yeah, I tell people, if you listen to my reviews on music, there are so many musicians I say, 5 years career. After that, you are gone. Nobody talks about you. If I, in particular, because he's my friend, and Pastor Adidro will be with that. That is shocking. I told you, I said, your career is under 10 years. It was big. So your career is under 10 years. Because I don't see anything that you're doing. Even though you started singing committed song, then you started singing Mama Didi or Yo-Yo. So if your art is not relevant to the environment in which you are, in which case your art cannot help to mobilize the community for collective change, to tell them there's an alternative to what the system is offering you, then I do not see how you can make progress. You blow for 5 years, 10 years, and then you vanish. That's why I'm sorry to say, who is a hip-hop singer here? Okay. Do you know why your people release single every month? Chidibalabala, Chidibolobolo. In a society that is this challenged, if that is the kind of art, because it's a matter of option. You have the option to be rich or to be a committed artist who can mobilize the people. That mobilization that you do. Why do we talk about Fela today? 25 years after Fela's death, we are now appreciating him. And that's the way it is. About Van Gogh, the artist and co. So speaking truth to power and then being conscious of your environment, of your creative environment. If you are not conscious of your environment, you make individual successes. You know how many millionaires we've created? Burna Boy. Burna Boy is like a son to me. You can ask them. Burna Boy, Wizkid, Davido. They will make big money. They will build houses on the waters. Check how long that will last. Whether they will go beyond that place. Not many people, not many parents will want their children to be. You talk of Wale showing car today. As I told you, my boss. It's lasted how long? He started writing when he was 17. He's still writing. He still released volume on my festival last year. He remained relevant because he's projecting idea, and the idea keeps on nurturing the society. What do artists do? We nurture the soul of the society. If your art does not help to nurture the soul of the society, you will make success, you will blow, but please don't blow away with the wind. Okay? I've said that artists are philosophers. They dream and shape ideas and direction of the society. And I said maintain connections. If you want to be relevant, do you know about that? I think there's a philosophy that says if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go fast, that's running fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. Hold somebody's hand or let somebody hold your hand. That is the only way you can be relevant. You must maintain connections. Most of the things that you spoke to, when he was doing the presentation, were connections. We traveled a lot around Africa. We were making anybody with, even we don't understand French, we use sign language just to make connections because the connections will shape you. I don't have money today, but look at the people I'm mentioning. I don't want to talk about Pastor Didro, how much he has helped to direct my life, and even trying to get me into something that I should be doing. But I'll get there. So you must make connections. And I'm happy that you all come from. I'm told that you all come from different parts of the country. Left to me, and I hope GQ is there. Director Shola Alamutu. I think you guys should form a collective. You're a nation already. This is United Nation. You formed a nation already. Don't worry, some people will drop off, they will do things, but form a connection. Form yourself into a collective as you are here. That be when they then do the second try, then they can join you. You know what that does to you? Once you have that connection, it's a connection for life. I'm sure many of you didn't even know you meet here. There's a reason why you are meeting here. Form a collective from what you are doing here. And if he's doing, who came from Abuja? Or who is a poet here? Do you know D.K. Chukwumerije? The poet spoken. His connection, he's been traveling the country. If he meets you today, you collect the addresses of every one of us. Once he has collected this, he's coming to stage his performance in your state, in Bayelsa State. He's calling them. I'm coming. They will be the one to receive him there. He doesn't have to go negotiating with bank or with them. They will call him directly. I do it a lot. There was a time we took Askari. Askari went to 22 states. Nobedion played Askari, the lead actor. What did we do? Through the Red Cross, we were connecting fellow artists who were in Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, in Sokoto. That's what we do. So you must have connection. You must maintain connection. And I'm advising you that I'm happy that you're all from different places. I think there are only 2 faces I know here, or 3. Himself, Oyinkan, and someone else I saw. So form connection, it will help you a lot. Okay? I've said be conscious of your creative environment and the policy. The reason why we're where we're, sounding like your vice president again. This is a nation that has no cultural policy. A country that does not better, Gerardo McDonald Young. A country without constitution is what? Banana Republic. That is what that's what obtained among animals. There's no constitution to guide the animals. So everybody behave anyway. So the lion sees this one, we chop it. That one will see lion, chop it. There's no constitution. A country of diverse humanities like we have, without a cultural policy, is a banana republic. So we're deceiving ourselves. As I've said, you make individual successes, but then you will never be able to codify it. The volume of resources that the corporate world have pumped into the arts, you will not believe it. The young millionaires, billionaires that we have formed are those guys who are buying houses in Banana Island. So they do their album, they sell to people in Ajegunle and all those places, but then they go and live in Banana Island. They are cut off. So they don't even understand what the people are expecting. Because they now live in a bubble. They built a bubble for themselves, they live there. When the bubble bursts, then they can't run back. Part of my problem with Daddy Shoki, because he's my bro, I told him, you were singing about Ajegunle. The moment you make money, you move to Omoli Estate. You are disconnected. So when his next album was sounding like Shidi Balabala, I know what it means. He has lost touch. That's the problem of most of our artists. But you know what can mitigate that? The nation must be able to provide you with resources. What is the resource? The resource is in the cultural policy. In the cultural policy is a section. Dide Ajibola, who was the director of culture, can bear me witness. There's endowment fund for the arts. So artists who want to do commercial, let them go and do their commercial. But artists who want to be committed, the endowment fund says that the nation must be able to sustain you. All you need to do is write a proposal and say, this is my proposal, and you take it to them. And then they will fund you, because the artist is made of body of artists. The endowment fund board is made of that. Then there's also the National Academy, which says when you have gone to school and trained, or if you are a successful artist, like I know you, you can go to the academy and train your voice, or train how to manage yourself and things. But then we knock it off. Because you know why they won't want it to work? Because the corruption thrives when you are dealing with individuals. That's why some company will say, I'll mention his name, Two-Face. He said they gave him 80 million to be Glow ambassador. Then the tax people went after him. He had to come to the press to shout, "Na lie, I didn't get 80 million, no." They gave him far, like less than 10%. But what they wrote is 80 million. So the tax people said, "You got 80 million, now give us our money." If the tax people did not go to, you won't know that there's 80 million given to one person, or supposedly given to, who has chopped the rest? Those corporate guys in Pastor Adro used to be a bank MD. Those people who were, he used to wear tie. They've chopped the money. But the artist is the one who has 80 million. And you're also in danger because your family will now come after you. Maybe you got 80 million. Oh, yeah, now. Share the money. Meanwhile, you didn't get anything. But if there's an endowment fund, Glow will be told, put that 80 million in that account. The cultural policy says 1%, right? It says 1% of, 1% of your profit. Say 1% of your profit. You put 1 million, 1% of, you make 80 million, put 1% there. Everybody make money. MTN, all this phone that we carry, put the money there. So that we can spread the money. They won't do it because it doesn't encourage them to chop. That's why you don't have cultural policy. So if, as an artist, you are not conscious of your creative environment, of the cultural, the policy environment, we will continue to suffer. Some few people will be making all the million and living in Banana Island. The majority of the artists, what is mobilizing the youth, what is feeding the soul of the youth budge that we are, that they are all afraid of for 2023 now, is the creative industry. When they were sacking and reducing workforce, the creative arts was helping us to galvanize the young people, bringing them together. Because that's the only thing that the young people have to go for them now. What else? Apart from fintech, which they are now threatening again with law. Okay? So, the only way you can be relevant for me is to be conscious of your policy environment. If you are not interested in that, you just think you want to make money and blow, please blow. But please be conscious that you could be blown away by the forces of nature, or the forces in the environment. Okay. So, as I told you, I didn't prepare anything. That's just what I want to say. But as a very important, lean on someone's shoulder. Lean on someone's shoulder. Speak truth to power. Do not be afraid. You will not be popular. You will not be popular. You may not be successful, but at least you'll be able to be relevant to your environment. I said, artists are philosophers. You must hold on to that power of being a philosopher. All of it, suddenly the room is getting noisy. Am I saying something lousy? No, because you are telling me that I'm not relevant. Please stand up and give Dame Taiwo Ajayi said a welcome. 82 years old and she's been doing it, and she's still there. Okay, settle down. Thank you. I wish she was there when I was talking about you being relevant, but I have to. I wish she was there when I was talking about. No, sit down. When I was talking about you being relevant, she's been on stage from the age of 14. Do you know her age? 82, and she's still doing it. By February 4, she'll be 82. She's still doing it. From the age of 14, this woman has been on stage. She's been doing it. If she was not relevant to the society, you think she would still be there? She would have been blown with the wind. But she made the choice to remain committed to her art. And because of that, she has remained relevant. I hope you get the connection that I made. Okay. So I'll take your question because I really want you to be, but I have to give those notes based on, in case you don't understand the context of the video. So.
And over the last 6 years, we have seen a renaissance in cultural activities. We have seen a renaissance in festivals. So far, I've been part of over 7 book and art festivals that have been in the north, from Maiduguri to Sokoto, Kaduna, and other places. And this is as a result of what you have done. So I want to say thank you for all that you do. I also want to, down up there in the north, I think we have a problem when it comes to accessing funds, to getting mentors, capacity building, and you mentioned something about an endowment fund, and you moved it down. So I also want to know whether there is a fund for artists where we can access funds if we want to run these cultural activities. And if there is, how can we, like you mentioned earlier, how can we make a collective, how can we work together with our mentors here and our seasoned artists? How can we work together? Thank you, sir.
I can assure you that there are funds. Thank you very much. There are funds for the artists. They are sitting on top of the money. There's the money. That's why they give one artist 100 million to come and appear for 5 minutes. And then they cannot buy a painting for 200,000 naira. As I told you, if you deal with the individual, corruption is encouraged. But if you build an institution, corruption is reduced. Imagine that the money they give to those individual artists, they put it in the endowment fund. The money they are giving to one person that they lie will feed all of us there. Okay? That's why they say they gave 80 million to one artist. And the artist had to shout that they didn't give me 80 million because somebody has chopped 60 million. Okay? So, what we have to do is this advocacy that I spoke about, because we are about advocacy here. If all of us put our voices in and we say we want endowment fund, this politician, this charade that is going on, if you say that we want an endowment fund, if you are going to be our president or whatever, if you don't launch an endowment fund, you are gone. If you put our mouth together, because I've been part of it, and the money is dropped here, because it's a national policy. It's not somebody's wish, it's a national policy. That we all sat down. In fact, the first thing I reported in 1987 was the cultural policy as a reporter. Since then, they've refused to launch the cultural policy. And I've told you why. Because they will do it with the individual, it's easier to cheat. But if you say the money is in the endowment fund, you say, Demtawa Jaila said the chairman of the company. You say you can go to her and say, give us money. And then you take the money and then you run. Okay? So there are funds that is there, but you may have to consult further because we don't have time to be explained. Unchained Bible Africa publishes something. I don't know if you are familiar with their website. Those are funds. The grants are outside. There's so much money out there, but you know why we can't get it there? Corruption. Corruption. In fact, yesterday we were still discussing the idea of National Museum. Somebody had, Prince James Shillon had this interview with Toyin Falola. I was part of the thing where we got $200 million to build the National Museum in Lagos. If you go there, it's a shame. All this clamoring for our artifact to return. I'm not afraid to say no. They will return, but not now. Because they will steal them. We fought for an artifact that came back, and then somebody called us and said, this artifact that you people were fighting for, I just bought it in a flea market. The artifact will come, they will steal them again and resell them. The artifact, people will not like what I'm saying. The artifact should return, but not now. If it's going to return, let's make it, because I know that they will steal them. I know what I'm saying. I've been on this. They will steal them. Okay? So, it's only when we are conscious of our policy environment that we can say, look, even though we want this, but how do the people get to be part of that? Because they will not want you to be part of that. How you make connection? I practice in Kaduna, and I can tell you that there are people you can lean on in Kaduna. Maybe when we meet after. Okay, so I don't lose the Unchained Vibes Africa. They publish those grants. Please do not be discouraged. Don't say that you will not try. You can only get those things when you continue. You get. Who is a writer here? Who is a writer? How many rejection slips have you received? In fact, Wole Soyinka said that after he got so many rejection slips, he didn't know what to do again. But he kept on writing. So know that you have to continue to preach that. So the connection, you already have the connection there. And then so work with others. That's what I mean. Any other question? Because I think my time is up, Abi. Those people in Freedom Park will come and carry you. Okay.
Even after raising our voices for the advocacy and for them to pass such laws, who are the people that are supposed to implement those laws? How can we hold them responsible?
How you can do that is that the endowment fund, the cultural policy is domiciled with the Federal Department of Culture, which is under Ministry of Culture and, I've lost interest in them. I don't even know what they call them now. Ministry of Culture and Social, Yes, all those directors there. You can meet him. Because he works for those people. I've lost interest in them. No, it's not that. You know, there was a time I wrote to them. They were always inviting me. I've been part of corruption. Tony, you know I've been part of corruption. They will invite me every year. They want to review cultural policy. They want to review. They were doing ATM. And I said, please don't invite me anymore. I've now seen that it's corruption. They were putting my name as somebody. And when we get to the meeting, Jide, listen, though. When we get to your meeting, you know what they start with? Who is going to produce bag? Who is going to book the food? Who is going to book hotel? I have 2 days to spend. We've spent the first day discussing bag. That's when you see all those my friends, you know them. They will be so animated. They want to do bag. Because that's what concerns. I will now ask them, please, the cultural policy you want to discuss, when are we going to discuss it? They say, Jahman, wait. Me, I'm a reporter. I came from Lagos. They spent the first day looking for who is going to prepare rice and stew. The cultural policy was never. So I had to write to them. I said, please do not ever invite me again. I wrote it. I published it. I said, do not ever invite me to your corruption again. Every minister comes in to review cultural policy. Since 1987, they've been reviewing cultural policy. We don't have one. So, Federal Department of Culture is where it is. Fortunately, the former director is there. You'll be able to advise. And then please follow on Chain Vibes. Most of our programs are going to be focusing on that. I think we have a cultural policy advocacy officer. That's a cultural policy. So you can link up with that. Yes. So that's the question, right? Somebody? Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. My name is Nancy.
Who?
Nancy.
Nancy.
So I want to take your attention a bit. I'm a performing artist. So I've seen that we don't have much voice as being a female gender when it comes to stage performances as a musical art. What I'm saying out of experience. We've gone for shows when you see backstage, you see like 80% or 90% of the people backstage are just guys, and then you have like maybe two female artists there. And at the end of the day, if you don't have a good management or you don't have a voice there, you might end up not being on that stage. So I was just trying to think if there's a way we can have a voice in making, I wouldn't say decisions, in being able to fit into the same role as
men. Okay. Let me first of all demolish the idea that we don't have, the female do not have voices. In fact, if in the country we talk about women not having voices, not in the arts, the most successful artists, and all the men they can beat me when I get outside. Today is my birthday. Don't come and beat me. Birthdays are not for beating or collecting woto. So, you see, in the arts is where we have the loudest voices are in the arts. Women. The women in our art are they are more successful than the men. In fact, somebody wrote a story that the Nigerian art is a female. That's the man who wrote it, Tony Akensho. I wanted to do a documentary. We don't discover that the women producing art, the biggest of them are women. And I can mention those of them who are my friends performing art. Do you know of Bolanle Austin Peters? Because I'm going to the climax. You know Bolanle Austin Peters? Who is she? She runs an art center. She's producing. She's employing people. She's doing things. Okay. Whatever problem you have with Moabudu, there's a Moabudu. What's she doing? The best galleries in Nigeria now are run by women. The best art promoters are run by women. And please, I want you, because I don't want to dwell too much on this, please, you give a resounding applause to an icon, the epitome of what we are talking about. Taiwo Ajayi said, he said. What other voice? What other voice can be louder than Taiwo Ajayi said? Almost 70 decades of practicing. And she's still doing it. And she speaks, she advocates for you, for the artists generally. She doesn't even genderize it, because that would be ghettoizing whether we should be female or. She says it all the time. She does it. That's why I said, have mentors. Make connection. Those 2 points. You must have mentors. You must have somebody who is guiding you, who you can say, look, this thing, because, see, the fundamental problem of our generation is that many of us are illiterate, functional illiterate. We don't read. We don't read. Because you don't read, you don't know. Because you don't know, you are not aware. Because you are not aware, you are not empowered. That's why in the organization that we run, Committee for Relevant Art, where all these people are there, so I can show you, it's about education. Education, knowledge acquisition, being aware, and then empowerment. If you don't have information, you are not empowered. So you have to be empowered. The way you can be empowered to have that information and then to use the information. In fact, what you have just said now is because you have not really checked what the Bolanle Austin Peters and they are laying the carpet for you. They're laying the carpet for you to walk. They are laying the bridge for you to cross. Yeah, in the technical theater where you were talking about the backstage, there are a lot of women who have gone through that. But if you don't have enough, it means that you guys have to get together and make advocacy for that. That we want more women. For a long time, you could tell the head of technical was a woman, Dotu. She studied in Ife. If you see her, she wear her jeans, she climbing up, we begging, please don't climb. She was pregnant, she was climbing. Don't climb up, oh, please, say, leave me, oh, that's my job. Okay? The woman who is my own wife today, I met her in the theater in Germany. She was my technical director and she was, male ego. I was saying, you can't talk to me like that. But she said, if I don't put the light on you, you are messed up. You can't go on stage. And that's how we became friends. Don't worry. One cut one eventually. So that's the way it is. You know how it works. So there are women, but you need to study it. Again, I'll say, if you form a collective, you'll be surprised the information that you can share. And once you start sharing the information among yourself, it begins to, okay? There are. Okay. Any more questions? Because we're in school together. He's now a clergy, he's a pastor, but he was a bank managing director. He was also general manager of Muson Center in Lagos. He kept on, I was editor at the Guardian, he kept on saying we have to be writing about business of the arts. I said, business, arts, they don't meet. Me, I just want to be a poor artist. Let me just be an artist because I believe that's my calling. Other people should come and do that. And he kept on writing about business of the art. But editing and reading his column, I saw what he was saying, which we then started working on after. He kept on talking about the middlemen. I think it was when we now talked about the middlemen. As an artist, I want to just sit down in my cocoon and write my poem or compose my song. But then there should be a manager who is interested, not your bag carrier. I know in Nollywood, the manager is the bag carrier, not a shoe carrier. I saw one carrying shoe. The actress could not carry her shoe herself. She had to hire somebody. Middlemen, that's what he was telling us to do. So that's Pastor Wale Adedu, is also a writer. Francis, all the big men are here. Anoche. Thanks. That's Pastor Wale Adedu. Dr. Wale Adedu, actually.
Doing in the world of arts. I just want to speak to the issue of mentorship, because Jahman has mentioned it 4 times in the last 1 hour. Let me take a practical example. When I became GM of Muson Center, or rather, when I became a marketing manager before I became GM, one of the first things I did, Mama may have forgotten, was that I went to Mama Taiwa Gailai every week for 7 weeks. At Tal House. And I was just asking, how can we improve ours? For 7 weeks, I was driving from Aja to Tal's house because I needed someone who had gone through it all to guide us.
Tal House is in Igwe.
It's in Igwe, yes.
Now you are crossing one end of the
and I did that for 7 weeks, and Mama gave me audience. And those encounters, they changed so many things in my life and in my career as an arts manager at that time. And I want to acknowledge Mama today as one of the foundations for my success in Muson Center. Mama was a mentor to me at that point because first I understood mentorship many years earlier. And so the issue of mentorship is a critical thing for everybody. And for me, this afternoon, I am just inspired
say this without any gain inside, personal gain. I want to propose that we start in honor of Jahman at 60, the Jahman Anikulapo Arts and Culture Mentorship Society. I will fund it. I will fund it and we will push it. Incidentally, I'm the chairman in Council of School of Mentorship and Productivity in Nigeria, so it won't be too difficult. We are working on a university project, but we will put this as a major project for this year. My name is Wale Adebiro.
That money you're supposed to give to me, because if you have money.
I'm hearing about money.
He has the money. Yeah, he have. Thank you. You know, still talking about mentorship. Many people have walked in while we were talking here. I've acknowledged Mr. Tony Akinsho. In a way, Tony Akinsho is my mentor. I took writing seriously because he was writing. He studied geology. No, let me mention how that came to be. In 1985, Bentomoloju, who is my grand mentor, wrote a play called Jankariwa. Now, somebody now wrote on the, Jankariwa means cobweb. That was the thing at the back. But I was the one who did the painting. I don't even know how to paint, but I just used brush to do painting. But because the person did a small one, but we needed it on a big, so I did it. So This Week magazine, Tony, This Week magazine was interested in me, in who did that, and they wanted me to come and explain it. Then I came to This Week, and I saw you people jumping on the table. They were not serious. No wonder the magazine died. They were doing more of drinking and jumping on table, and I was like, okay, this is where I should work. If there's free wine, coffee, and they were working, and I said, okay. Then I started to study people before me. I was studying Benton. I pirated Benton so much that they thought he was the one writing. But when I saw the way he was going to the art, we started following ourselves and things like that. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And then Cora happened. I was speaking about Cora earlier. And we kept on writing, and he was writing column for me. And so, ambush. Oh, you are ready? So that's mentorship. Another person walked in, Eriata. Okay, are you set? Okay. Eriata has been spending his money mentoring young poets all over the country. Poets in Nigeria, go and research it. So if you are a poet, hold him. He have money. Francis Onwoche, if you don't know Francis Onwoche, then you are not supposed to be here. And they're also teaching too. Norbert Young was talking to you. I've been running training for a Catholic school for almost 2 decades. Honestly, I don't know how it does. Catholic Church, they have training school. Not to talk of what they might. I know that they have another room. That's my mommy. So I won't harass her to be here. And then, of course, we saw you in the video. So any more questions so I can wrap up? Did you get my 4 points? Yes, sir. But my quarrel is that when I was talking, I didn't see many people taking note. I know you people take note on your phone. I don't encourage it.
We have notes, sir. The new age.
So all the things that I've been talking, yes. All the no waiting. See, you want to do Ojoro. All the things that Norbert John that I've spoken. Okay, don't let me expose. But please cultivate the habit of noting things. You know what? It may not be useful to you now. It may become part of your archive in future. Okay? Just hold pen. I don't go anywhere without pen. I don't have money to buy the good one, but I have this. If you note on your phone, if your phone crashes, that's all. But if you have your notebook, your children, in fact, we were taught with notes taken by our teacher in school in those days. So, please, that's the last thing I'll say. I said, lean on somebody's shoulder, one. Learn to speak truth to power. If you cannot do that, you will never be relevant. The artists and creatives are philosophers. If you cannot envision things and create it and then let the public consume it and benefit from it, then you'll never be relevant. Say, maintain connections. Why you are not even our student. Maintain connections. Okay? Form collectives. Maintain connections among us. This is, for me, this is a collective. And Unchained Vibes, I trust. That's why the academy, look, this is, for celebration, this is the only thing I more or less care about. The fact that we have a group of young people who are determined to take their career. I mean, they are paying you salary. I mean, they want me. Be conscious of your creative environment and the policy environment. If you are not conscious of your policy environment, you are creating for nothing. I've told you of artists who have blown, but they may be blown into the wind. They will not be relevant. Okay? If you are not conscious of the policy environment, it's like you build a house, you lived in the house, but you don't care about the environment. It's a pigsty. That's what it means. And I said a nation without a cultural policy is a banana republic, just like a nation without constitution. And then you have options. That should be the bigger one. You have the option to make money, live in Banana Island, and die in Banana Island. But you also have the option to create relevant work and be in the heart, in the brain, in the head, in the people, that people think about what you have done. Mama just came from Hereward. There's no place they have gone to that people are not writing to say, many women who are not conscious of their place in society. For you who ask about women, go and see Hereward or read about it. The advocacy they are making for women in society. Okay? That's the last one I'll wait. Thank you very much. Your money has expired.
We're talking about money.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You know, when you're standing in front of your guys, mentors, you know, ignores, you just have to fidget a little. But because of the importance of this occasion, the confidence must come. You know, what you heard about Jahman, I don't think you can hear enough of this man, you know.
Are you speaking
I don't think we can hear enough of this man called Jahman Oladejo Anikulapo. 38 years I've known him. 38 years. When I told my wife, my kids, that this thing I'm writing about a man I've known for 38 years. I asked one of them, the elder, how old were you then? Because he's actually 23. Said, they never born me that time. You know, I'm so happy to be here. Okay, a couple of people joined me before the toast. So this is one of my greatest days since I was born. Wow. It is, yeah, because there are people, our people, in quote, celebrate, who don't deserve to be celebrated. It's one of those people who actually need to be celebrated. And we have more of such in the society, on some, because they are there, talented, numerous, youths, elderly. But I want to use the opportunity to thank Freedom Vibes, who are taking it upon themselves to recognize and celebrate creativity and celebrate personalities who are so important to our life. Thank you, Freedom Vibes. So before we go on to the toast, Mr. Uchewe.
All right, thank you very much. We actually we're struggling to keep Jahman here because a couple of people are also waiting for him in different.
And they are threatening us.
And they are threatening us. And we refuse to be threatened. All right, but please permit me to quickly invite just one or two people to join us here for just a brief remark. Jahman, as far as I'm concerned, I actually thought that they were twins because you find both of them always running a lot of things together. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tony Akensho. Mr. Tony Akensho, please. 5 and 6, you find them
Who are the jealous? Is it your mommy?
Please, just a word from you, Uncle T, then we'll give it to Mama to round off on that. Thank you.
That's okay. It's okay.
Who here knows the concept of John the Baptist? You know, when a path, I mean, when people talk about you even before you come, you know, that's exactly what happened in the Guardian of Lagos sometime in 1984. So there was this story that had been published in the Democrat. And, you know, Bentomology was a big, successful journalist at that time. He was running these 4 pages of the art that were very different from what anybody knew about cultural journalism. And so this bunch of people.
I think you should put that microphone down because when it's distorting your voice.
Oh, you got it.
I'm sure everybody can hear. Yes.
Can the cameras?
No, but I think the cameras will
because of the camera.
Please, thank you.
So maybe I should.
From this now.
I noticed that Jahman used it very well, other people couldn't. So I was hoping I would be Jahman.
Appreciation.
Jahman likes to use the word anarchist. So in the Guardian newsroom in 1984, there was this bunch of people who were talking about a particular story in the Democrat. And they were wondering what kind of name is this, you know. And they thought genuinely that it must have been written by Benson Tomology himself, that he just basically didn't want to put his name because his name was all over the place anyway. You know, because if you look at it, it's fairly a fictional name. In 1984, Fela had become an Anikulapo, you know, he had renounced the idea of being a ransom, you know, so he had chosen that name. And then, you know, the word Jahman means some kind of a man of God in the Rastafarian parlance. You know, so these guys were saying, and these are very big people, you know, Chuk Sulegbunam, Taiwo Bay. You know, I was probably the youngest journalist in that room. And so Chuks was saying, I mean, what kind of name is this now? You know, they did not know that there was actually somebody who was that person they were talking about was still a student at the University of Ibadan. You understand? So when I say, what do you guys know what the concept of John the Baptist? You know, somebody precedes you before you show up. So Jahman had been announced long before he came. You have to clap for that. You have to, you know. And I, you know, so we must have met at the Ajo, you know, I mean, first, you know, that was something. Essentially, it was, you know, Lagos of the, I mean, of course, you know, Antita will be wondering who these young people, you know. I mean, I want to say that Lagos of the early to mid 80s was a very interesting period for my generation, you know. I mean, that Ajo essentially created a Richard Moffett. I mean, essentially, you know, all of these things associated with Ajo essentially created Francis Onwuche, you know. I mean, quite a number of who were the significant actors of that period, you know. And so we must have, I mean, and I was writing pieces in The Guardian in those days. Now, so having talked about Jahman before he showed up, now what happened when he then showed up? So we're in the middle, he had given a hint about this. About 9 of us left The Guardian for this week and went to start a magazine that was meant to rival Newswatch. And it was a blast, you know, because we were all young. Nduka Obaigbena was an age mate of, I mean, all of the guy who supposedly was creating the business. So you had this group of mid-20s characters, trying to dare the delegiwas of the, of late 30s, we called it a generational statement. So that was the thing that he saw. I mean, the fact that you produce art and people are comparing you with, I mean, those people who are fairly established, how can you be competing with a delegiwa in the 80s? I mean, you know what that means. And so Jahman shows up. Apparently, he was escaping from some crisis. I knew that later, that had happened in the Christian part of what is today Kaduna State, So he had left, and washed up in Lagos, and he just came looking for, who he thought were soulmates, And so we bonded, and then we started, what you might call, maybe a 39-year relationship. You know what I mean? So now there's a difference. The one thing that one thing I would insist on taking back, is where exactly my name is. Because when people will see you and say, hey, Baba Jahman, I'm not Jahman. Where is my own identity? My lawyer has to write. People who. So anyway, Jahman, you are the one person who is selfless. Now, let me give one, just before I hand over the microphone to our overall grandmother.
Yes,
sir. There's something about Jahman, and, a lot of people don't know. He's the only one in the world who probably will have 10 naira in his pocket, right? Hold up in his house, and he's writing an email for an event that will hold a Muson Center for somebody who wants significant artists, and he's talking about who is going to perform, some paying a band about 150,000 naira. He doesn't have, I mean that kind of clue to what value is. He just knows how to put those things together. I mean, it is when that thing happens that you then realize that, I mean, we haven't even paid for this, that. It is people who will eventually pay because of his own. I mean, they are banking on him. When he organized Mr. Benson Donije's 80th, before I think of those kind of things, I will have money in my pocket first. He doesn't, he just, so which is the reason why you could see him do about 7 of those kind of events in a year. And he might not, throughout the year, he himself might not even have, to come to the place. He will be owing the Uber man. That's Jahman. I mean, seriously. So he sets up a party, about a multi-event series of parties for a Jimmy Sholanke that people spend, over, people like Shemo here would have spent like 2 million or whatever, over the course of those weeks. And the man who is organizing it himself, hardly probably even have breakfast. But he will be, I can't be, what kind, so you now see, should we be celebrating those, you imagine yourself. Ma.
Kernel of our being here today, selflessness. I was going to beg to say a few words because I see young people, and you see this man here, and you think you're celebrating his birthday. You're celebrating character. You're celebrating integrity. You're celebrating selflessness. We have a shortage of these things in our society at the moment. And it's my pleasure, privilege, to be here not even to address Jahman, who's lived his life and is living his life in the proper way, but to take that opportunity to talk to the youngsters who are here, the young people who didn't know the background you were telling them of the 80s. You probably weren't born. About the loss of values in our society, about the fact that maybe, well, let me have optimism that I hope that you guys will stand up for this country. You're talking about mentorship and people not reckoning with you. There is too much of us wanting to have attention. If you're doing what you should be doing, attention will come to you. And that little thing about Jahman starting something, not having a kobo in his pocket. Ideas produce fortunes. It is ideas that create money. I'd like you guys to know that. And not just want to get rich. We want money with our giving service. He has devoted his life, all his life so far, to giving service to everybody. A lot of us wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here. If I were sick, they would have to drag me here today to pay homage to the character of Jahman, not as the man, as the spirit. Do you realize we are all spirit? It is the spirit in him that he is connecting with all of us. Can I beg all of you to forget about being famous, to forget all about yourselves, to forget about being rich, but start thinking about how you create that wealth, not just for yourself, but for everybody. Because if you look after everybody, if you create wealth for everybody, could you possibly be poor? No. Not bloody likely. That will make you. The reason we are poor, the reason this country is in this state it's in at the moment, one of the reasons, and I think it's a major reason, is because it's about me, myself, and I. It will never wash. The universal law doesn't permit that. It's about everybody. It's about the collective. I wanted to tell it to you. The older people who have listened to me rabbit on about this would have heard this. If you've not heard about it, darling, it's not about you. You know, being in this world is not about you. It's got nothing to do with you. Do you know that? So take yourself out of the equation for a start and see what's happening generally. And then posit yourself to changing your world. You can do it. There is nothing impossible to do. In fact, you are put here on earth to change your world. Stop complaining. Do something. Take the finger out. You see what I mean? Stop looking at your navel. And please finish this entitlement mentality. The government owes me something. The government isn't doing anything. Do you notice that the followership is absolutely dumb? The followership isn't doing anything for itself. Otherwise, I've been back here almost 50 years. There's still petrol shortage. And what are we doing about it? Absolutely nothing. Why aren't we doing anything about it? Because I have my business to run. You know, I've got to look after myself. So the petrol that is short in the petrol station, somebody is standing in the road and he has a keg of petrol and you buy it. I think it's pathetic. Have you noticed that after NSAS, what do you call the road tax? What is when you're going to Lekki? The toll gate. Is anybody asking anybody for toll? No. Do you realize why they're not doing it?
They're no fit now.
No, this is serious.
Yeah.
because you caused it, because you're powerful, but you still haven't realized how powerful you are. Take the finger out. Don't wait for the government has done this, somebody has done that, and you're talking about corruption. We're corrupt because we're only looking after ourselves. That's why. That's the definition of corruption to me. Why aren't you corrupt when you have a project to do, you don't have money, you are not planning, the others will plan, how much of that budget is coming into their pocket? Because they're looking after themselves. I got to pay fees, I got to meet the bills and everything. I know you didn't expect me to be saying all this, but I want to say this because that's what Jahman signifies to me. Principle, a man of principle. A man who connects, a man who loves. And they have started things to make things better without cause to worry about rewards to them. How many of you know his history, really? Tell me, do you know anything about him? You don't. They say he's having a birthday, you're here. I wish you would emulate what he stands for. That's why I decided I'm going to talk about this. You gentlemen, you come from Kaduna. Yeah, a lot of us believe that a great deal of the wealth of this nation is on that side. What are you guys doing about making sure that all your people who are having their private jets running around do something about IVF? You know, child marriages. Excuse me. Child marriages. Women locked up. I know you are beautiful women, but they're all trailing after their allergies and their husbands and everything. And there's a lot of them highly educated. What are we doing about making them wake up to the fact that they have a duty and a responsibility to the rest of the country? So don't look after yourself, galvanize yourself, mobilize yourselves, start thinking about how to change the paradigms. That's what we have to do. If we're to honor this man here, a lot of them to honor, but we're honoring him today. If you did that and let them know that it is not politics that rule the world, it's culture. Are we aware of that? Because if you were, you must put it on them that culture must be paramount. So is it development fund or whatever we are trying to, since 1985, endowment. Of course, endowment will mean nothing to them. But they come and use you when there is election. And they come and call you, and you show up, and you're leaping up and down. Why? Me, myself, and I. Because they give you some money and you go until the next 4 years. You want to stop me, because I can go on like this forever.
Thank you, man. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Egi. Okay. Mr. Egi, please just help us with the cup. Okay.
Please share the drink. As unconventional as he can be, don't joke with him. He has a great sense of order. You know, I called him in the last part of that tribute, a neat freak. He's unconventional, but it's so paradoxical that somebody who is unconventional will have a big knack for neatness. When all these camps that we share together, when he's coming, everybody, all the actors will be running over. Better he's coming, clear everything. You must not see any dirty, Okay. Raise it. You feel like standing, you stand. You want to sit down.
No, I think we should stand.
Yeah, I think we should stand. I think at a point, only Jahman should be sitting.
Yeah, but I'm sure
But he's a soldier. He's used to standing. Okay.
behalf of yes, let him sit. Yes, the rest of us yes, yeah, it looks good now. Gorimakwa, we call it Orioro. That's why we go. I will tell you why we nicknamed him Orioro in the mid 80s. Orioro. Look at his head. You know you can't beat me now. You are the celebrant. Say hair like Badagry coconut. So you beat me now. Beat me. Egbo. Big Egbo. On behalf of Freedom Vibes and on behalf of the big names in the house, I wish to perform this duty, this toast. As you raise your glasses, this toast to more years of sound health, not only to Jahman, to everybody.
Wale Adeduro, come here.
Where's he? Why are you hiding? Big people, they like hiding. We know you. Francis on with Norbert Young. Shemo. Okay, it's all right. Hey, please. Don't let that thing. Please. Where is that thing playing from? Hey, why? To not just long life for Jahman alone, toast to long life for all of us. Yes. 1 year of Jahman's exploits of artistic conquest, 1 year of artistic excellence in the industry, years of greatness.
Somebody there. That person should stand.
1 years of more mentoring. 1 year of more mentoring, 1 year of success, of anything good that we can ever think of Jahman and of yourself. In the name of Jesus. And Alhamdulillah, if you're a Muslim, in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of Almighty God. Okay, now bring down it's going to we have to be very quick because we are going to Freedom Park.
Where is the cutlass?
Celebrants can now you will now cut the cake. Please keep the volume of that thing down.
Alẹ́yìn tẹ́sán pé eléyìí lẹ́sẹ̀ tẹ̀mí lọ́la ọlọ́wọ́n ọba nínú owó nínú dẹ̀ra nínú àìkú ti ṣe bá alẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀. Wọ́n máa lákẹ́jọ bí ó èrò ẹgbẹ́ mọ̀mọ́lé àwọn bàbá rẹ̀ wọ́n bí yín lákẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ lẹ́nu bí jẹjẹ wọ́n bí yín ní gbàdúrà ẹ̀kọ́ lóhùn bí ọ̀jẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ àjọgbẹ̀rún mọ̀mọ́ tí ẹ̀jọ̀gbẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ torí ẹ̀rú ní sinmi ẹ̀kọ́ kì í sí ìlú. Àṣẹ wọ́mú sálòrò òkè o. Nàmú báyìí ìlòrò òkun o. Èyí tí ọba dún wọ́mú abóró lọ ni ọmọ alákẹ́jọ bí rẹ̀ gbádà mí lómi wọ́n ní ike sí.
Ọkùnrin ló ké sí o. I'm going to square Jahman. Yep. To end our big celebration recording, starting from, I hope you all know the spelling of Jahman. I'm from J. A. H. M. A. And N. Thank you. The mic now goes to Madam Shola.
Thank you so much.
everybody that is here to honor Jahman. There is somebody who doesn't want to say anything, but it's very, hello, it's very important that this person's attention, very, very important. No, people don't even know who you are. So that's why it's there by voice. This is my own son, Jahman's son,
Jahman Junior.
Jahman's Junior, Jahman's copycat.
Take your mic and talk.
He's a very gentle guy.
Make all those complaints. This guy is said, I've done this.
You know what to do.
There are no complaints at all.
We know you very well.
To be honest, he's a great man.
Yay!
Right from when I was a kid, I always looked up to him because he reminds me of a mountain, an unmovable mountain. And
Another addition.
when we quarrel and fight, and he's just always so calm and loving, despite all I know I was a very stubborn. That was in the past. He has the patience and the forgiveness of. It's just the greatest patience and forgiveness in anyone that has him. And he always reminds me that the way he lives, he has principles, and he always told me he doesn't want things, all these material things, that what he wants is just to be a positive influence on everyone, not just me, but everyone is our daddy, not just my daddy.
Everybody's daddy.
I'm proud and happy to be your son.
Oh!
I am.
Don't cover him.
I am proud to say that you are my father. All the love you've shown me over the years, and now we are at your 60th birthday. I remember when I was little, I gave a speech. I think it was your 50th. But I was very terrified. And now we are here to celebrate you again.
Man to man.
And I'm sure if it wasn't just invite only, there will be so many people here just to give thanks and just to celebrate you. And I'm happy for the man you are, and I'm grateful for everything. Happy birthday.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this continues outside. So we have both indoor and outdoor performance. All right, so this is the outdoor park, and we would like to release Jahman. A couple of people. I don't have a mic here. Yeah. So a couple of people are waiting for him, and then we'll be moving on. I'd like to planning and plotting. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for Mr. Ayo Ganil. All right. And I can't find any question.
It's like, yeah, see my voice now. Can you hear me? Before we have a very important. Hello.
1 hour, please. 1 hour, guys. Thank you.
Hello. We have a very important presentation on behalf of the artistic community for Change Vibes Africa to make in honor of this great man, Psyche. And to do that, we have a special guest in our midst, the people who are supporting everything that is happening here. The academy that is going on is being supported by the National Endowment for Democracy, and we have the honor of receiving the president, Jahman Wilson. Also, we have all the way from Washington, D.C.
Wow.
We also have Chris O'Connor, who is the man in charge of West Africa. Please join us. Also, Jude, please join us. Yes, we have veterans in the house, veteran artists, actors, theater practitioners, journalists, and others, poets. I'll start with Mr. Tony Akiosho. Please join us. Mr. Norbert Young. Dr. Tunji Shotimiri. Otumba Shotimiri.
I'm on the last of this, but because I want to hear.
Let's take the president of the national
Yes.
If I can read it.
This way, sir. This way, please.
Special Recognition Award.
Yeah.
Jahman Anikulapo, in recognition of its selfless service to Nigeria and cultural advocacy. 16th January 2023.
So can we now go back?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's take everybody.
You have to go back. Please, I know I need to go back. I can't take this side.
Special recognition about
Yes. Yeah, I'm taking it. Prince. Samuchi. Thank you.
So if you're not interested in your own welfare, don't expect them to be interested, because quite frankly, they're not from Mars. They're from us. And to the extent that it's me, myself, and I, if that's all we're concerned about, then they're doing what you're doing. It's business as usual. It's not going to happen if you don't make it happen, is what I want to say. And we have people like him living exemplary lives and offering their lives selflessly to make things work. We have to support people like Jahman. We're not giving enough support. We need to really stop talking and start doing. Let's move on. As I said, let's get the finger out and do something.
A word from the next president, Wilson.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us and the team from the endowment here. Happy birthday. I don't believe you're 60, but as you said, Mama, he's just getting started. So on behalf of the National Endowment for Democracy, we're just really honored to be here in Nigeria, to be in Lagos, to see this work in action. What happens in Nigeria is pretty consequential. It's the 5th largest democracy in the world, and it's on track to become the 2nd largest in a couple of decades. You've gone through 7 elections. You've seen real incredible developments here. And so we've come in my early tenure at the endowment to listen, to learn, to see what you have learned, and really to be part of what we see here, because this country around the world is known as a cultural behemoth because of the work, the art. We started at Nikkei Gallery when I arrived last night. We're here now at another gallery. The art, the culture, the passion. Ultimately, that art is an expression of the human spirit. And the human spirit craves dignity, equality, the ability to have justice, and the ability to express itself. And when a society embraces that kind of art, it says something about the democratic underpinnings. So we're here to learn about that, we're here to respect that, and to pay tribute to those who have really led the way. Yourself, Ms. Jahman included, artists who can be subjected to great pressure through their work. And it's when you succeed, when you're able to express your views, so many more in society are able to. So we're here a month before the election to get a feel for the country, to get a feel for what's happening, and to see the incredible role that artists have played in ensuring the freedoms of the people of Nigeria, and seeing what we can learn from this incredible country as well. So thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be your partner, to see you from Washington now back here in Lagos. And on behalf of our delegation, we're really proud to be with you all today. Thank you.
about listening. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving to the next session, and that's a session with the president, Ned, inside with the academy, Freedom Vibes Academy, and please strictly for those who are the participants and team members alone for the next session. But we can have it for some refreshment or outside in another 7 to 10 minutes. We'll be starting on inside.